Hello there everyone, it's Captain Invisible here and welcome to another multiplayer battle for Medieval 2 Total War. And this time we are in the Kingdom's Crusades expansion. So yet another Crusades battle. I really like the Crusaders battles. The factions and the units are very different, and the whole feel, it feels a lot better with regards to units, how units interact with each other. It's a lot better than it was in vanilla Total War. And this is a battle, it looks like on the pyramids map. You can just about see the pyramids in the background through the huge sandstorm that is happening at the moment. And this makes it really hard to see our opponents through the sandstorm over here. You know, they are over here somewhere, but we don't quite know where. It felt like a really nice scenario. The Kingdom of Jerusalem marching on to retake some land lost to the Fatimid Caliphate, and the Fatimid Caliphate forces pursuing and eventually outmaneuvering the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and through the sandstorm set up a blockade to stop the Kingdom of Jerusalem from passing any further. That's the kind of a feel I had for this battle. So yeah, the team won, or my team, was Sloveni and Cyrus the Great over here. And we are all in command of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and we've even brought some quite nice artillery units. And then the second team, the Fatimid Caliphate team, we've got Hopa Nuoli, who's joining the rest of their allies over here, which are Crazy Duck named JOHNIII, and then Sweet. So they're all the Egyptians, and as you can see here, they're doing a very nice move of joining up all their forces in order to mutually support one another. I found this was a really great tactic, and as I say, we even started doing it ourselves. I've moved over here to join Sloveni with my own forces, and Cyrus the Great is going to create a flank here to really put some pressure on the flank of these grouped Egyptian forces. So I won't go into the armies in too much detail, but I basically had 3 of these archers, some of these sergeant spearmen in support of the archers, 4 of the dismounted knights, a couple of Knights Templar with some marshals of the Hospitallers, and some of these Templar Confrere, I believe the sort of junior knights of the order. Another Knights Templar over here, and just a flanking force of some Templar crossbowmen and some squires of Tripoli. Cyrus the Great went for a more, looks like a lighter infantry base and heavier on the cavalry and the artillery. He's got some dismounted knights, but he's really gone heavy on the cavalry, and has lighter two-hander units as his infantry. And Sloveni's brought the Mangonels, has quite a ferocious cavalry force here, the Constables of Jerusalem and such, and then again a lighter force of dismounted Knights of Jerusalem and some missile forces. But his main unit was the Mangonels, currently raining fire down in support of his cavalry charge. But his cavalry is going to be driven away, but the Crazy Duck's going to support with his own cavalry. So me being quite close to Sloveni, I counter-charge with my own and just help support him whilst he outflanks, and we surround this Gulam unit. And then my marshals of the Templar hit this Royal Mamluk for everything they've got, and we really create some havoc over on this flank. And now, as you can see, we've managed to somehow surround the Royal Mamluks of Sweet and some of Crazy Duck's cavalry, and we're going to rout these guys who are fully surrounded and getting peppered by the mangonel and infantry support. So it was a nice initial victory for us, still having some of our cavalry remaining, and managing to defeat the scary Royal Mamluks, who are probably the best cavalry in this game. There's some Royal Mamluks here that survived the carnage, currently getting shot at by my archers. So a nice initial blow, lots of dead cavalry, mainly from the enemies, and so the forces of Sweet are going to rush forward to try and engage Sloveni in melee. This wasn't a bad idea because the Egyptian team did actually bring quite a lot of heavy infantry, whereas our own forces were fairly light on the infantry, just using it as a support. And these Tabaria are brutally effective against just about any infantry. So we've got a nice clash up here. Sloveni holding the line, but he's outnumbered with his infantry here. So I'm going to send my cavalry in support of his flank, try and break this flank and help stop these supporting units from Crazy Duck. Because if we can stop these guys from really getting into the battle, then we can I can give Sloveni the chance that he needs to help outflank these tied up Egyptian infantry. So managed to break this flank. And I'm just going to finish off these dismounted Ghulams with my own heavy knights. And with this flank now secure, that gives Sloveni the opportunity to get his cavalry into the back of these Tabaria. Unfortunately, one of the cavalry units was indeed his general, and his general dies in this battle, which is a shame. It looks like Cyrus the Great is taking the opportunity with all the infantry focused over here. He's hitting these exposed central units of archers and infantry, and he's even charged in his units to really tie down this force to stop it from supporting over here. Because currently things are tied up over here. I think the Egyptians would eventually win this fight, but things are tied up over here, and in fact there's a lot of routing from the Egyptian forces. So I had a decision to make. Being the central player, and being that there is really no central defence, I could either support this flank and help defeat the Egyptian forces over here on the side of Hopia, or I could help defeat these Egyptians quickly, and then me and Sloveni could come and support this fight over here.
Our general shames us all.
Apparently my general's fleeing. I think it may have actually been Cyrus's general, because I don't remember my general fleeing, unless he just got a bit of morale shock and he's going to come back later on. But I decided to tie up this fight simply because Cyrus the Great didn't have a lot of fight here. He's only got some cavalry currently holding the front lines and some Saracen militia. So I send some infantry his way, just to help tie up this flank. My cavalry is still breaking some of the central units, so the centre is now completely broken. But over here, the Egyptians have managed to see off Sloveni's army, and they're currently breaking through and, as I say, getting rid of the rest of Sloveni's troops. I do have some cavalry in the mix, but they are unfortunately in the mix, which I don't want them to be in melee against either Royal Mamluks or the infantry. So it's gonna be really tough for me to really use my cavalry effectively in this way. I do get some good charges here and there, but tying my cavalry down here was a big mistake, and these bodyguards and such units are going to really make me pay for this. The infantry fight over here is all tied up. These Tabarderia are going to hold quite well, but I do have the numbers in here. And we've got some Genoese sailors of Cyrus the Great in the mix as well. And we've got some spearmen as well, doing some hammer and anvils, which is always good. Because we were all close together, we could support each other's flanks.
The Saracen general. Now we must send his men running back to the dead. The battle is very much in our favour. If we remain true and steadfast, victory will be ours.
Indeed. So, as I said, there's this fight over here currently being tied up and slowly won by our troops. There's a lot of units over here. My spearmen, I think, are currently holding off some of the enemy spearmen and Al-Hakka infantry. It's not a position they want to be in, and they actually break as a result. And then there's some Royal Mamluks left uncontested over here, currently in my crossbow men, which is not what you want to see. Leaving the Royal Mamluks undefended or sort of open like this is not a good idea. There's some cavalry over here, but again there's more Royal Mamluks, and there's just Royal Mamluks all over the place, which is again not where you want them to be. You want them to be tied down as much as possible. So it looks like I finally realised where my cavalry needs to be. My cavalry was all over the place in this battle, and it wasn't a good thing. I had all this cavalry, but it's all sort of currently tied up over here with some last remaining general's bodyguard, and currently get shot at, and it's just not a place where you want your cavalry. You need it all focused. But currently there's got my generals over here, and I've got knights all over the place, and spearmen, and my army just ended up, because it was trying to support too much, it ended up being spread out quite a lot. Fortunately my infantry was focused here, and that allowed their morale to hold and finally defeat these Tabarderia. But as you can see over here, there's still a large cavalry presence with these Mamluk archers and bodyguard. And my spearmen have put up a hell of a fight over here though, and killing off a lot of these enemy cavalry, which I'm thankful for, because spearmen in this game are a lot better than they were in vanilla. But now they get surrounded, and I think that's going to be the end of them. So still a lot of enemy cavalry around, which
our men have fought
is
long
not
and are
good.
becoming tired.
So I finally managed to regroup my infantry and the rest of my forces. I do have some archers over here and some crossbow men, as well as some support from, I believe, the rest of Sloveni's troops and Cyrus the Great. I've certainly got Cyrus the Great's forces here. He's still got some pretty strong cavalry, the constables of Jerusalem, and some spearmen here as well. But as you can see here, the enemy are grouping up their cavalry. This is not what we want to see. So much cavalry left from the Egyptians was not very good. There's even some over here yet to be unleashed. Some Mamluk archers. These guys have maces, so these guys are still pretty fierce in melee.
The enemy general lies dead. Good rid. The battle is very much in our favour. If we remain true and steadfast, victory will be ours.
So we're currently silencing some of these enemy generals, really killing them off. But there is still a couple left. I believe this is one of them, who's going to lead his cavalry to glory. Still a handful of enemy infantry, and it looks like we've got quite a lot of troops, but what we don't have a lot of is cavalry, which is the one thing that we would probably actually need to hold out in this battle. Fortunately, there are a lot of spearmen left. These Templar sergeants, and even the crew of the Great Cross will have to take part in the defence of the Great Cross. But as you can see, the enemy cavalry is just now causing mayhem in the back lines. My infantry is melting away due to their charges, and without proper spearmen support, my infantry is going to get exposed, and my archers are going to be exposed. There's just a lot of exposed units and not enough to protect them. Yeah, so this has become the epic part of the battle, the kind of surrounding of the Great Cross. If this was a film, this would be sort of the last stand of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, as they were attacked from all sides by Mamluks. The Great Cross standing strong in the centre of the formation. As I say, as we basically try and resist with our spearmen and try and get some shots off with the archers. There's still a handful of cavalry from Cyrus the Great, and I do have my general still alive. I believe he's here. 4 men of the Kingdom of Jerusalem.
Our allies have fled the field like cowards. We must look to our own men now.
So I believe that was Sloveni's army, so a good game to Sloveni. He definitely held out well against 2 players, but unfortunately he didn't get much support from me. I mean, after that cavalry support, his army was basically left completely open, and I should have realised that the Egyptians would have more infantry than he did, but I just didn't consider it. I thought he would be able to hold out after I'd supported him against the enemy cavalry, but it wasn't to be.
Our men are winning the battle. If we continue like this, we will smash the enemy.
So we have fought off a lot of the archers, or a lot of the cavalry, should I say. There's just some of these Mamluk archers remaining, still trying to take out my archers, which at this point were just there to help absorb the enemy. There's not a lot I can do to protect my archers without having them up here, but there was a lot to think about in this battle. Without the cavalry to help be as mobile and manoeuvrable, I was really stuck in a position where I had spearmen and archers, and that's about it. But everyone is taking part in the defence now. The crew have been summoned. The Allied cavalry is currently being killed amongst the bodies of its own fellows. But a nice brave charge here by the Knights of Tripoli really do break these Mamluk archers, and now we've just got a handful of other Mamluks to worry about. I think these guys are about to rout after getting caught by spearmen.
Behold how our cowardly foe
those guys
runs.
break. And then I believe the only unit left is the General's bodyguard, who is somewhere else, I believe over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward it, and we're going to see, we're going to get to the end results and see what scores they are. Luckily for this battle, because we were all the Kingdom of Jerusalem, you get to see all of our statistics. So that will be that's another good thing about everyone playing as the same faction. You'll get to see all the allied statistics. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the enemy's units statistics, but as I say, at least you get to see the allied ones. So we're just going to chase the enemy's general. So it should end shortly. So yeah, this was a pretty interesting battle. The sandstorm made it really interesting because, as I say, you can't really see anything outside of this circumference.
It could have been we that were slain and defeated on the field. But fate has been kind and delivered us victory.
It was a very, very, as I say, interesting scenario. And as I say, the scenario of sort of being ambushed by Mamluks in the desert just really did make this battle feel epic. So here's the unit statistics. Cyrus the Great, he got 482 kills with 90 captures, and he brought 753 men, which is probably about as much men as we could have brought given the funds. I think it was about 12,500 funds. I brought 737, and I killed 674 and captured 188. And Sloveni, he brought quite a small army, 553. I wonder if that was to do with the expensive mangonels, or maybe some expensive cavalry he brought. But he brought 553 and killed 664 with a capture of 101. Sweet, who was the more aggressive Egyptian player who attacked Sloveni, brought 745, if I can speak. I've been speaking for a while in this commentary. So yeah, 745 with enemy kills of 478. So a pretty powerful rush there from him. Crazy duck named JOHNIII brought 821, so quite a larger force to all the rest of us. But only killed 381. I think that was because he brought weaker cavalry. He was bringing the Ghulams as opposed to the Royal Mamluks, and he had a lot more infantry. So he had a bigger army, but it was generally weaker because he had more weaker infantry. And then JOHNIII, bringing 777 men and killing 807 with 110 captures. So JOHNIII definitely been the MVP of this match, bringing or killing more men than they brought, and really doing well with possibly the cavalry. Definitely those Mamluks left at the end were a pain in the ass, and really did make this battle a lot harder than it should have been. It's always a really good idea to kill off the enemy cavalry as quickly as possible, hence why I threw in 2 units to help really surround and defeat the enemy cavalry at the start of the battle, because if we would have left those guys to roam around, it would have made this battle a lot harder as well. So unit statistics, Cyrus the Great, his main focus, it looks like, was on his cavalry. A lot of decent kills on cavalry and some Templar crossbowmen. His infantry is a bit further down, not doing as well as he probably. Well, he brought the weaker infantry, so he probably wasn't expecting much from them. He just wanted them to hold whilst his cavalry did the work. My statistics are fairly well balanced. My cavalry, again, which was where I focused most of my money, doing its job, getting some quite nice kills. These knights confrere are definitely quite a decent unit, despite being quite cheap. They're certainly one of the better cheap cavalry units in the game. My Knights of Jerusalem also, some of them doing quite well, but some falling short. And then some my Templar Sergeants doing okay, or at least one of them. And my Templar Crossbowmen, 104 kills. They must have been sat there plucking at the enemy for quite a while to get those. And then Sloveni doing quite well with his forces actually. His cavalry doing really well. 96 on a General's Bodyguard. 54 on a Marshal's Templar. And a Knight's Templar, 42. Some decent crossbow kills as well. Templar crossbowmen are pretty ferocious units. Dismounted Jerusalem Knights, similar to mine, so you're some getting some good kills, some not doing too well. What's that one? 81 on a Constable of Jerusalem. So the Constable of Jerusalem is a really great unit, really worth bringing. I'll have to look into bringing them in future battles. And then the Mangonels getting quite a lot of kills, 42 and 62. So definitely worth bringing those guys, and it definitely forced Sweet to rush forward and take the fight to him. And I think both Sweet and Sloveni basically destroyed each other, leaving Duck to have to support Sweet and putting his infantry at risk from my cavalry, and Hopia to be tied up by Cyrus the Great, although Hopia really did do some damage to Cyrus the Great. But it was a very close battle, very, very fun. We all enjoyed this battle. Mistakes on both sides, certainly quite a lot from me as well. To name a few, I really should have supported Sloveni before Cyrus the Great, and I really should have kept track of my cavalry. It was kind of all over the place and getting into infantry fights that it really wasn't going to win. But yeah, an interesting battle. I've got more of these battles to come. I may even create them into scenarios, you never know. But thank you very much for watching, guys, and I shall see you all in the next video.